Here we have for sale an International 634, and this one is a little special. It was the GT model. We have in there a 6-cylinder 125 horsepower Perkins. This engine is a slightly more uncommon. It's the Perkins 6372, which is 6.2 litre as opposed to 5.8. There's quite a few differences to the engine. It's a little bit heavier duty. This wasn't the original engine. It originally had the very torquey 4-cylinder International engine, but it has actually been fitted very well, and at first glance looks like it should be there. Makes the tractor a little longer. I'll talk about the conversion first. You can see the chassis is lengthened. There was 2 of these made. This was the second one. This one looked a lot better conversion for several reasons. One of the reasons was normally the oil filter on these hang downwards, which meant the chassis had to be boxed round it. But this had a filter mount was actually off track marshal crawler, I think, and they point upwards, so it made it a lot neater. Also, the bonnet arrangement was a lot neater on this one. This piece here that covers the fuel tank was actually pulled forward from inside, and the bonnet hinged here, though the hinges are US now. In fact, the crack in the windscreen, that was a storm a few years ago, blew the bonnet up, hit the thingy. Yeah, where was engine? The engine came out of a Massey Ferguson 625 combine, as did the back rims. It was very low hours. The hour clock in the combine read, I believe, 1100 hours, and I should say it's done about 1,000 hours work since it's been in this. So mechanically speaking, it's very little wear. In fact, we'll look at the bores in a minute. The conversion it worked out very well, I think, if I remember rightly. It's a mixture of the 2 flywheels in there. I didn't see it myself, but I think there was a recess in the back of the original one where a portion of the Perkins flywheel fitted perfectly in it, and I imagine there was probably bolted together or something. I don't quite know. I know there was lathing there, but it's done 1,000 hours work. Now, you might think 125 horsepower in a tractor that originally had 62 would test the gearbox and back end out a bit. Well, actually, it's not that bad, because the original engine was very, very torquey and was 62 horsepower at 1500 revs. As you know, horsepower is a mixture of rev and torque. You double the rev, you can have the same torque, but your horsepower's doubled. Well, this engine is 125 horsepower at a lot higher rev, at 2005. So in actual fact, the increase of torque going through the gearbox is only a little bit more. Plus, the 6-cylinder is a much smoother torque, so it actually probably gives it less jip than the original engine. The tractor had done 5,000 some odd hours when the engine was put in. I remember that. So the tractor itself has done 6,000 hours. There is nothing mechanically, although it's not run for 10 years, this tractor, take that in account. There's nothing mechanically wrong with the gearbox, no jumping out of gears, no crunchy bits, no noises, no funny whines, no nothing. The previous owner to me was a family member who was a farm contractor at the time, and all his engines, tractors, engines changed every 100 hours. This was when it was in the combine, and the tractor no different. It was service second to none, so this is not a worn out heap. Right, now to the engine. Unfortunately, it was slightly water damaged. A few months ago I came to strike it up. It turned over an inch and stopped dead. I took the manifolds off, inlet and exhaust manifolds, and I couldn't see any signs of water being in them. Filled all the ports up with Gungy oil and WD-40 and left it for a month. Didn't try turning it over, thought whatever's the condition is, I'm going to take the head off anyway. Right, I'll just pause for a little bit and lift the bonnet off. Right, bonnet lifted off. Now on removing the head, there had been some water in number 3. I inched the engine backwards, took the starter motor off, barred it over backwards. It cleaned up very easily. I don't know if you can see here. I gave the bores a little dressing with my fine glaze buster. I put my fine stones in it. You can still see some marks, but they're actually, well, stains. Those stains, I would describe them. You can't actually feel them in there. And after doing that, the engine turns out, it bars over very freely. The engine's generally, well, it's only done about 2,000 hours, and you're really struggling to detect any lip at the bore. There's no wear on any of the bores. Interesting to note, must be a thing with the Perkins 372s as opposed to the 354s, is it? It's actually replaceable liners. I thought the others were not, but this is definitely got replaceable liners in. So I would actually, as a matter of course, now the head's off, for the new owner, I would take the sump off, push the pistons over and check there's no gummed up rings. Quick glaze busting and put them back. Then a headset and the engine will be a runner. All except it does need a set of injector pipes. As you look, they are very rusty. I imagine when you try to actually use them, there'd be diesel everywhere. So there you go. Head, valves, no stuck valves, they all go in and out nice and easy. So was no problem there. Right, tin work, mud guards want a bit of work. Luckily they're all nice and flat. About 2mm. In fact, I'd just go to an engineering place and fold some 2mm and they'd be very easy to make up. They are 1973 K-Reg. I actually do have the documents for it. The lip on the cab, rusty. This mudguard about the same. Look in the cab. There's the bit you can see where it was extended. There's a hydraulic block actually fitted, which came off the combine as well. Like I said, this swing around there. Look in the roof. Looks a bit dark. Here we are. Got all the side windows. Front window is cracked. However, it's totally flat. This was replaced some years ago. We just went to a window place with the broken one, and they made us one up to put in for about 50 quid, I think. Tyres, probably usable, but they came off a the Massey 625 combine, and the centres were welded. I think where's the weld? Ah, there's the weld. Done at a local engineering place. They actually spin, they run perfectly true. What size they are? They're quite chunky ones. 18.4 by 30, 10 ply. So like I said, they shouldn't be hard to locate someone on scrap Massey 625. Link arms. Please bid as though there isn't any. I know I've got them. I can't find them in my yard. I'll have to try and think whether I left them in somebody else's yard. I don't know. So please bid there's no link arms. Bottom hitch, interesting. This was made because one of the duties of this tractor was to tow a converted lorry trailer, which actually I think the best load we had was 18 tonnes of wheat on board. Take the pin out, drop over hitch, put in pin. The good bit about this is it's very close to the centre line of the axle, so it handles very big trailers very easily, especially with the extra length of the tractor and the weight of the 6 in the front. In fact, at the same time I was running this tractor at the same time as a neighbouring farmer having similar trailers onto us with TW25s, and they couldn't, to the dryer, they couldn't go flat out because they bounced, because their pickle pitch is about 3 foot further back from the centre line of the trailer. I may have a photo actually of this with the grain trailer on. If I find it, I'll give it to the purchaser, or maybe even put it on online somewhere. But there you have it. Closing notes. Mechanically, the tractor itself is no noisy bits, nothing from the final drive, nothing horrible from the gearbox. Brakes are probably running out of adjustment and getting ready for a reline. I do know a firm who can probably actually bond linings on, which would be a fraction of the price of getting them. What else do I need to tell you? Oh yeah, the steering. This steering was put on in its working days. So we've got power assisted steering. It used to work quite well. Quite nice and light. I think the lock was altered. I think there's just a little bit chopped out here, give it more lock. And the hydraulics actually, well, you can't see my coats under there. There's a shaft driven there, and actually to the Massey combine, if I go into night mode you might see them there. I don't know, poke it up. Anyway, if you see it or not, it's just an hydraulic pump. The hydraulic pump is on the front there. That provides hydraulic power for the tractor and for the steering. And for the steering, it comes off the original reservoir that's under the seat. Oh, the other thing was, it was very fast on the road. Original engine only did 1500 RPM. This revved at, I think actually it revs at about 2.6 or 7. Probably, not that we've measured it because we never adjusted the speed. The fact that people telling me used to say they were used to follow me at about 26 or 7 mile an hour. So I don't know what else I can say to you. A bit sad letting it go. All the parts are here for the engine and everything. Model number International 1973 623. Needs good home and a bit of restoration. One thing I will warn you when you get it done on the road: if you're on a country lane and you pull over to a tick over to the side to let a car past, give plenty of room for the car when you open the throttle. Because it's a light tractor with a simple transmission with no losses in and 125 horsepower, it takes you about 1 second to go from tick over in top gear to flat out, and you'll crap yourself when you do emergency action to stop yourself running in the back of the car that's just come past you. This is definitely a GT model. There you go.